The door clicked shut behind her, and the echo felt like it had ripped my chest open. I sank onto the edge of my tattered couch, staring at the space she had just vacated. Everything smelled like her perfume, faint coffee, her laughter lingering in the corners. And yet, she was gone. I whispered to the empty room, "Was it really so easy for you to just leave?" My voice cracked, swallowed by the silence. Memories flooded in the way she'd tilt her head when she laughed. How her hand fit perfectly in mine. How we'd sit for hours dreaming about a future we were supposed to share. I pressed my face into my palms, tasting bitter tears. I worked so hard, I thought. I thought we were building something real. The word real felt hollow now. A knock at the door startled me. Amir's voice followed. "Hey, man, you in there? I manage a week. Yeah, come in." He stepped inside, eyes scanning the wreckage of my tiny apartment. "I heard what happened. I'm sorry, bro. I don't even know if I can feel anything right now," I muttered, dragging my hands through my hair. "It's like everything I believed in just collapsed." Amir lowered himself onto the couch beside me, careful not to crowd. "You gave everything you had. Sometimes that's enough for us, even if it wasn't enough for them. Not enough." I spat out, the words tasting like acid. "She left me because I was poor, because I didn't have a fancy apartment, because I couldn't buy her all the things she wanted." My chest tightened with every word. I loved her, Amir. I loved her more than I loved myself. And it wasn't enough. Amir's hand landed gently on my shoulder. "Listen, you can't measure love by money. She made her choice. It says more about her than you." I shook my head violently, tears spilling over. "No, you don't get it. It's not just about her leaving. It's the betrayal of what I thought was real. I thought we were in it together, Amir. Every late night, every laugh, every stupid little plan we made." John Amir stayed quiet for a long moment, then softly, "It hurts now. Yeah, but one day, you'll look back and realize this was just the first step toward everything you deserve." I laughed bitterly. Everything I deserve. What if she never sees it? What if I rise, and she never regrets leaving? "She will," Amir said, firmly this time. "Not because you need her to, but because she'll see that you became something she couldn't contain. You'll rise, bro. You'll rise higher than you can imagine." I wiped my face, trying to steady my breathing. I don't even know where to start. How do you start rebuilding when it feels like your entire world just collapsed? "You start small," he replied. "One step at a time. And every step you take, she'll be a shadow behind you, realizing the mistakes she made." I glanced out the window at the city skyline. Lights flickered, indifferent to my heartbreak, indifferent to everything I had lost. Yet, in their glow, something ignited inside me, a quiet, burning resolve. "I swear, one day," I murmured, fist clenching at my sides, "I will rise so high that she'll regret every second she left. She'll see the man I became, and she'll know what she threw away." Amir nodded, a faint smile breaking through his concern. "That's the spirit. Now let's start thinking about the first step," and for the first time in hours, I felt something like hope stirring among the ashes of my heartbreak. The alarm went off before dawn, and I was already awake. My apartment smelled like yesterday's coffee and stale dreams. I rubbed my eyes and muttered, "Another day. Let's see if I can survive it." Amir had stopped by earlier, peeking in with that half smile. "You look like hell, man." "I feel like hell," I replied, pulling on a wrinkled shirt. "But hell is better than staying here, drowning in memories." He shook his head, laughing softly. "You're insane. But maybe, just maybe, it's exactly what you need." I didn't argue. The streets were cold, the city still half asleep as I dragged myself to my first job, a cafe washing dishes. My hands were raw by the end of my shift. One of the waitresses joked, "You're going to have the cleanest hands in town if you keep this up." I forced a smile. Yeah, if I survive the blisters, every coin I earn, every tip I scrape together, I tucked away like it was treasure. At night, I'd sit alone, counting, recalculating, imagining how it could grow. I whispered to myself, one day, these small coins will be mountains. One day, I'll be more than enough. The loneliness was deafening. I'd stare at my ceiling, thinking about her, thinking about how everything I wanted had slipped through my fingers. Why did it have to hurt so much? I asked the dark, why did leaving feel like fire in my chest? Then came Mr. Hamid. I met him at a small networking event Amir dragged me to. He was older, calm, and exuded a quiet authority that made me want to listen. I've noticed you, he said, extending a hand. You're here every day, observing, asking questions. Not many people have that hunger. I blinked. Hungered I just can't afford to fail anymore. He nodded. Good. That's exactly what it takes. Discipline, strategy, and patience. You've got the first part. Let me help you with the rest. And just like that, my life shifted. Under his guidance, I started studying investments, business strategies, and even the psychology of success. Nights that used to be spent staring at empty walls became sessions of calculation and planning. I can't believe how much I didn't know. I confessed one evening, exhausted but exhilarated. I've been running blind all this time. Most people do. Hamid replied, smiling. The difference is, you're willing to do the work. You'll see, one disciplined action at a time adds up, each small victory. Whether it was a successful stock trade or a business pitch that didn't fail miserably, felt monumental. I'd sit back, exhausted, and whisper, one day, I won't be poor in anyone's eyes. One day, I'll rise so high they'll all notice. Amir would stop by sometimes, bringing takeaway food. You look like hell again, he joked, setting a plate beside me. I laughed despite my exhaustion. Better hell than mediocrity. I'm chasing something bigger, Amir, something that no one can take away. And still, the hunger gnawed at me, the quiet, constant ache to be more. I'd stare at the city skyline from my tiny apartment, imagining my future mansion, my future self, and her perhaps just once, catching a glimpse of the man I would become. Not for her, I told myself. For me. But if she sees, good. Let her see what she left behind. Every setback became a lesson. Every sleepless night, a stepping stone. The world seemed vast and indifferent, but in its indifference, I found opportunity. Tomorrow, I said aloud one night, reviewing my numbers, I'll push harder. I'll learn faster. I'll climb higher. One day, every sacrifice will make sense. Mr. Hammond's words echoed in my mind. Discipline. Strategy. Patience. I clung to them like a lifeline. By the time I collapsed into bed, hours later, I wasn't just tired, I was alive. Every fiber of me burned with ambition. Every thought focused on the day I'd never be underestimated again. And in that quiet, lonely apartment, I made a silent vow. I would rise from nothing. Relentless. Unstoppable. Asterisk asterisk.
I turned the key in the lock of my new apartment and stepped inside. Not a mansion yet, but bigger, cleaner, respectable. I ran my fingers along the counter, a small smile tugging at my lips. Finally, something to show for the nights I thought I'd never survive. Amir poked his head in, grinning. Whoa, look at you. Feels fancy in here. I laughed, tossing him a spare key. Fancy enough to remind me I'm moving up. Not fancy enough to forget where I started. My phone buzzed on the counter. An email from my broker. Investment secured. Congratulations. My heart skipped. That single deal, small to some, felt enormous to me. I actually did it, I whispered. I actually did it. Then came the calls from competitors. Listen, kid, one businessman sneered over the phone. You're out of your depth. You should know your place before you embarrass yourself. I laughed softly, letting the words sink in, then leaned closer to the microphone. I appreciate the advice, but I've learned one thing. The deeper the water, the sharper you become. I'll see you at the next meeting. Amir raised his eyebrows. Confident much? Confident, I corrected, tapping my fingers on the counter. I've been desperate for months. Now I'm careful, strategic, there's a difference. The nights were still long. I pored over contracts, analyzed numbers, and visualized every potential setback. If I stumble here, it's my fault, I murmured one evening. No one else is to blame. Even with progress, she haunted me. Sometimes I'd catch myself imagining her eyes, the betrayal still sharp like shards of glass, but I stopped letting it crush me. Use it, I whispered. Every memory, every hurt, use it. Then a letter arrived, handwritten, unmistakable. My hands trembled as I opened it. It wasn't from her, but from an old acquaintance. I hear she's struggling. Might be losing the life she thought she could have. Thought you'd want to know. I read the words again, slowly, carefully. She's struggling. My chest tightened, not with joy, not with revenge, but with a strange sense of validation. Karma, perhaps, finally catching up. Amir leaned against the doorframe, curious. What does that mean for you? I shook my head, pocketing the letter. Nothing yet, it's just a sign, a reminder that the world moves in circles, and I'm moving forward. Business became a battlefield. I learned quickly who could be trusted and who couldn't. I met rivals who underestimated me, thinking my age and recent rise made me easy prey, but I outmaneuvered them, turning their arrogance against them. They think I'm naive, I said aloud one night, scanning my notes. They're about to learn the exact opposite. Every victory, no matter how small, fueled me. I walked through the streets at night, letting the city lights remind me of the distance I'd already traveled. From nothing to something, I murmured, and I'm just getting started. Yet late at night, alone in my apartment, the memory of her smile and our shattered dreams lingered. I closed my eyes, channeling the hurt into focus. Every setback, every betrayal, it's mine to turn into strength. And I will. Amir dropped by one last time before I turned in for the night. You're different, he said, shaking his head. Sharper, stronger, feels like you've been reborn. I smiled faintly, not reborn, just awakened. I've tasted the first change, and it's intoxicating. As I lay in bed, the city humming below, I let myself imagine the future, the empire I was building, the respect I'd earn, and yes, the day when the ghosts of the past might finally acknowledge the man I've become. The gates swung open, and I stepped onto the sprawling driveway of my first mansion. The marble reflected the afternoon sun, and the sheer scale of it made me stop mid-step. I actually did it, I whispered to myself, the words tasting surreal. Amir, trailing behind me with a grin, muttered, Wow, this is next level. I laughed softly, though there was a strange ache beneath it. Next level, yes, but it's still just a house without everything else. Inside, the air smelled of polished wood and fresh paint. I ran my fingers along the banister, remembering cramped apartments, sleepless nights, endless calculations. From nothing to this, I breathed, every blister, every sacrifice, worth it. And yet why does it feel bittersweet? Amir chuckled, clapping me on the shoulder. You're thinking about her again, aren't you? Maybe, I admitted. Not because I want her back, just ironic, isn't it? I built all this, and the one I wanted to share it with isn't here. We started walking through rooms, planning the staff I'd need. My phone buzzed. An agency confirming cleaners, chefs, and butlers. One name stood out, Lena, the house manager. She arrived promptly the next day, sharp eyes scanning the mansion like a general inspecting a battalion. Lena didn't smile. Thank you. I can tell you have a vision, that intensity, it's rare, but I'll need to ensure this place runs smoothly. No distractions, no sentimentality. I raised an eyebrow, impressed. I like that. I want efficiency, but I also want someone who understands ambition. She nodded once, crisp and unwavering. Understood. This house will reflect you, your discipline, your order, and your drive. Her words stirred something inside me. Good, I said, I need that. Every detail matters. Later, I wandered the halls alone, imagining the rooms filled with light, laughter, and the hum of life. Yet I couldn't shake the memory of her face, of the past I'd left behind. Success tastes sweet, I murmured to the empty house, but with a hint of irony. The universe has a sense of humor, I suppose. Amir peeked in from the doorway. What are you muttering about? Just justice, fate, karma, I replied with a faint smile. All that I lost, all that I fought for, it's here now, and yet she's not. He nodded. Well, the important part is you. You earned this. No one can take it from you. I walked out to the balcony, gazing over the city lights twinkling below. My mind wandered over every struggle. The nights I worked 2 jobs, the moments I wanted to give up, the constant hunger for something better. From the apartment to this mansion, every step mattered. Every failure, every pain, it led here. Lena approached quietly. Mr. Hamid, sorry, I mean you, this house will run like clockwork. I won't let anything falter. I smiled faintly, sensing the beginning of a new chapter. Perfect, that's all I need right now. Discipline, order, and someone who understands that ambition doesn't sleep. As she walked away, I lingered on the balcony, feeling the weight and thrill of accomplishment. The mansion was mine. Every stone a testament to struggle and relentless drive. And in the quiet, I couldn't help but think, almost wryly, the universe has a funny way of balancing things, and I've just begun to tip the scales. I was reviewing documents in my study when Lena knocked softly. Sir, there's a new addition to the cleaning staff. She started this morning. I paused, pen hovering over the papers. New staff? I asked, trying to mask curiosity with casual tone. Yes, young woman, appears competent, diligent. She's been assigned to the main floors. I nodded slowly, heart tightening for reasons I didn't want to admit. Something in her description stirred memories I thought I had buried, laughter, sharp words, and the cruel ease with which she dismissed me when I had nothing. Later, Amir called. You won't believe who I ran into today. I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice steady. Who? Her, he said, almost laughing. She's working as a cleaner now, in one of the mansions she could never have imagined. I felt a strange surge, part vindication, part bitterness. A cleaner, I murmured. Of all places, one of the upscale ones. Ironic, isn't it? Amir chuckled. Yeah, karma has a twisted sense of humor, but hey, no need to rush into anything, just watch. I let the words sink in, recalling nights when she mocked my small apartment, when she sneered at my broken shoes and cheap meals. All that laughter, I whispered, all that scorn, and now my jaw tightened, and I let the sentence trail off. Lena approached again, calm and observant. Sir, the new staff seems dedicated. I've noticed her attention to detail. I exhaled slowly. Good. Keep me informed. I don't want any surprises. Alone later, I stared out at the skyline, imagining her, unaware, scrubbing floors I once could only dream of walking through. The thought made my stomach twist with a mix of anger and something I couldn't quite name. Sadness, nostalgia, maybe both. I whispered to myself, should I confront her? Tell her who I am? The memory of her laughter, sharp and dismissive, flashed behind my eyes. No, I said finally, not yet. Let karma unfold. Let her realize on her own. Amir's words from months ago returned, echoing. Patience and observation can be more powerful than confrontation. I found a strange satisfaction in this. I had built everything from nothing, climbed every rung, endured every humiliation, and now, silently, the universe was doing its part. Yet, even in the quiet triumph, a residue of love lingered. I remembered holding her hand, dreaming of a shared life, promising her the world when I had only scraps. And I had loved her, truly, completely. That part of me refused to disappear, even amid vindication. Lena appeared at the doorway. "Sir, shall I introduce you to the staff formally?" I shook my head. "Not yet, just observe. Let things settle naturally." As she walked away, I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every blistered hand. Every moment had led to this, her unknowingly cleaning my mansion while I sat watching, waiting, growing. I allowed myself a faint, ironic smile. The universe works in mysterious ways. Pain, loss, they all circle back eventually. And sometimes all you need to do is wait. Outside, the city lights shimmered like distant promises. I had risen. I had endured. And unseen karma had begun to weave its quiet, satisfying threads. I was walking through the grand hallway, inspecting a few details with Lena, when I noticed her, bent over, carefully polishing the marble floor. My heart caught in my chest. It was her. The same hands, the same curve of her neck, the same energy I had once loved and lost. She hummed softly to herself, oblivious to me. I stepped closer, studying her carefully. Her hair was pulled back, her clothes simple and practical, but the spark in her eyes, still there, made my pulse quicken. Lena whispered, "She's doing a good job, sir, very thorough." I nodded, barely hearing her. My mind was a storm. Does she recognize me? Should I reveal myself, or let this moment linger? Finally, I cleared my throat. She straightened, eyes flicking up. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone polite but wary. I allowed a faint smile. "You're new here, right? I don't think we've met formally." Her gaze sharpened. "No, I don't believe we have." Her voice carried a hint of pride, like she was holding herself above curiosity. I studied her, letting the tension stretch. Memories of her mocking my poverty flashed. Her laughter, the disdain, the way she turned away from my hands, my dreams. And now here she was, unaware that she was standing in a world I had built from nothing. I finally said calmly, "You're cleaning the floors well, very meticulous." Her eyes widened slightly. "Thank you, sir." She hesitated, scanning my face as if searching for recognition. "Do I know you?" I let the question hang. A slow, deliberate pause. She blinked, confusion furrowing her brow. "I don't think so." The memory of her leaving me came rushing back, her words sharp and cruel. "You have nothing. I can't waste my life here." My chest tightened. I wanted to say so much, but instead I watched. "You work hard," I said finally. "I respect that. I respect effort." She glanced away, embarrassed. I try. Life hasn't been kind." "Isn't that the truth?" I murmured softly, letting my voice carry more than just acknowledgement, letting it carry the weight of my journey, my nights of hunger, my determination. Her shoulders slumped slightly, pride cracking. I never imagined I'd be here doing this, working like this." I could see the shame, the humility she'd never known before. And yet underneath there was a lingering spark. She was resilient, stubborn, and human. The same traits I had once loved. "Sometimes," I said slowly, "life puts us exactly where we need to be, not where we want, but where we're forced to grow." She swallowed hard, eyes darting nervously. Maybe you're right." Her voice was small, almost fragile. I watched her work, silently absorbing every movement, every tremor in her posture. My emotions swung wildly. cold satisfaction at witnessing karma's quiet hand, but also an aching, unresolved love that refused to fade. Finally, I stepped back, letting the silence speak. She continued cleaning, unaware that the man she had once dismissed was watching her, knowing the power I now held. I whispered to myself, a mix of triumph and longing, "You don't know yet." But everything has changed. Lena approached again. "Sir, she's dedicated. Nothing will be overlooked." I nodded, eyes still on her. "Good. Let her continue. Let time reveal the rest." As I walked away, a faint smile tugged at my lips. Karma was patient, and so was I. I sat alone in my study, the city lights spilling across the floor like fragments of memory. Silence wrapped around me, heavy and insistent. I couldn't stop thinking about her. The laughter, the arguments, the way her hand used to find mine so effortlessly. Amir's voice echoed in my head from months ago. Patience and observation can be more powerful than confrontation. I whispered aloud, "But patience isn't enough, is it?" Memory surfaced unbidden. Her teasing, the warmth of her smile, the nights we stayed awake dreaming about impossible futures. And then the betrayal, sharp as ice. "You have nothing. I can't waste my life here." The word stung again, and I clenched my fists. I stood, pacing the study. Do I let anger define me? Do I let it consume every victory, every hard-won moment? Lena entered quietly. "Sir, everything okay?" I shook my head, forcing a smile. "Yes, just thinking." She gave a small nod and left, closing the door softly behind her. Alone again, I sank into the chair and let my mind wander. I remembered the intimacy, the quiet nights in our small apartment, sharing stories, dreams, and laughter that felt endless. And then the arguments, the sharp words, the misunderstandings. But even those had been ours, raw and human. I exhaled slowly. All of that belongs to me, not to her, not to anyone who left. Amir's words came back again softly, like a guide. Your life is yours. Your achievements are yours. You need no validation from someone who abandoned you. I leaned back, letting the truth settle. He was right. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every step from that tiny apartment to this mansion, mine, not hers. I had built this, not for revenge, not for her approval, but for myself. Yet beneath the clarity, a subtle ache lingered, a remnant of love, unresolved, refusing to vanish completely. I closed my eyes and whispered, I loved her. And part of me still does. But that doesn't mean I'm bound to her choices. The question remained, what should I do now? Confront her? Reveal everything and force recognition? Or remain silent, letting the universe and my own life speak for me? I imagined her again, unaware, cleaning, proud yet humbled. A pang of satisfaction rose, tempered by the quiet sadness of what we had lost. I choose me, I said finally, voice firm. My life, my accomplishments, my growth. Not anger, not revenge, not her approval. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. If she recognizes me, fine. If not, fine. Either way, I rise, unbound, relentless, and nothing she says or does can change the man I've become. A sense of peace washed over me, strange and foreign, not joy, not triumph, something deeper, a quiet certainty that my life was mine to shape, independent of the past, independent of her. Amir's voice, though absent, seemed to linger. You've built everything from nothing. Let that define you, not anyone else. I smiled faintly, leaning back and closing my eyes. The mansion was silent, the city humming below. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. The choice was mine. I would act or not, but the power to decide to rise had finally returned entirely to me. I was reviewing some documents in my study when I heard her footsteps approaching, careful but deliberate. I looked up from the papers, and there she was, carrying cleaning supplies. The way she moved, precise, methodical, made my chest tighten for a brief second, but I held my composure. She hummed softly at first, then froze. Her eyes flicked up and locked with mine. And then it happened. The recognition. Her pupils widened, the color draining from her face. "You," she whispered, voice trembling, almost a hiss. I leaned back slightly, hands folded, calm. "Yes." Her mouth opened, then closed, words failing her. I could see the realization ripple through her. She was cleaning my mansion. Her eyes darted around as if searching for escape, for an explanation that didn't exist. She stammered, fumbling with the cloth in her hands. Her pride, once sharp and untouchable, was fractured. Vulnerability replaced the arrogance I remembered so vividly. I remained silent, letting her digest it. Let the weight of her choices, the scorn, the laughter, the cruel dismissal of my struggles, settle on her like a stone. Karma, quiet and unyielding, had arrived without a single word from me. She swallowed hard, trembling slightly. I didn't know. How? I tilted my head, studying her. "You had a choice once," I said softly, almost conversationally, "and you made it. I'm just here now." Her lips parted, a weak attempt at explanation, but no words formed. Her gaze dropped to the floor, then back up to mine. Panic and regret tangled in her expression. I never imagined," she began again, voice barely above a whisper. "You imagined it," I said quietly. "You imagined leaving, and now you're living it." She shivered, as if my calm presence was a mirror showing everything she had discarded, every memory she had mocked, every night she had laughed at my poverty, reflected back at her in stark clarity. I'm sorry," she whispered finally, voice low, almost inaudible. I shook my head, not with anger, but with a subtle detachment. "Apologies don't change the past, and I don't need them. I don't need validation, not from you, not from anyone who left when things were hard." She looked down, hands gripping the cloth tightly. Shame, humiliation, and regret painted her face like a living portrait. And yet I felt nothing but quiet satisfaction, not cruelty, justice, patient and inevitable. Lena approached in the hallway, unaware of the tension, and I gestured subtly for her to continue overseeing the staff. She nodded and walked away. I returned my gaze to her, eyes calm. "You see, life has a way of teaching lessons. Sometimes you don't need to speak them aloud. They arrive silently, as they should." She nodded weakly, unable to meet my eyes. And in that moment, I realized the evolution inside me. The heartbreak, the hunger, the relentless climb. It had forged strength, composure, and clarity. I was no longer the boy she left behind. I was the man who rose, unshaken, undeterred, emotionally untouchable. She exhaled shakily, finally bending back to her task, but her hands moved slower now, careful, subdued. I observed silently, letting her feel the consequence of her past actions, letting karma do its work without interference. The mansion hummed around us, quiet except for the soft swish of the mop and the distant city lights. And I smiled, faintly, not with malice, but with the quiet power of someone who had conquered not just the world outside, but the turbulence within. Silent justice had arrived, and it was complete. I was in the study when I heard her footsteps hesitating near the entrance. I didn't turn immediately. Part of me wanted to witness her approach, to see her gather courage or shame. "Sir." Her voice trembled slightly, soft, almost fragile. I wanted to apologize. I remained seated, hands folded calmly, exhaling slowly. Silence stretched between us, weighted with memories and unspoken truths. I never should have left," she continued, voice low. "I was wrong about everything. I finally looked up, meeting her eyes. They were clouded with shame and fear, a stark contrast to the pride she had once carried. Yet I said nothing, not because I didn't hear her, but because the man I had become didn't need to respond. Silence, I realized, was stronger than words. She swallowed, glancing at the floor. I see now what I lost. I nodded once, faintly, the smallest acknowledgement without indulgence. Yes, her shoulders slumped. She took a hesitant step backward. I'll go. I didn't speak. I let her leave. Watching her retreat, I felt an unexpected lightness. The mansion, the city outside, the quiet hum of life around me, it all felt like a testament, not to wealth, but to growth. Alone again, I leaned back in my chair, eyes tracing the ceiling. Memories of heartbreak, nights of struggle, endless calculations, all of it resurfaced, then settled. I realized I was no longer the boy desperate for validation. I was a man tempered by pain, strengthened by struggle, and refined by perseverance. I whispered to myself, I built this not for revenge, not for her, for me, and that's the truest victory. The ache that lingered, the remnants of love, was no longer bitter. It had transformed into quiet wisdom. I had reconciled the past with the present. My heartbreak had become clarity. My loss had become power. I rose from the chair, walking to the balcony. The city lights stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful. I exhaled slowly, letting the cool night air fill me. Closure, I murmured. Not by confrontation, but by patience, by rising. A faint smile curved my lips. I had witnessed karma unfold without interference. I had grown beyond anger, beyond longing. Justice had been served silently, naturally, and I had been its quiet witness. The shadows of my past lingered, but they no longer confined me. They were proof of the journey I had endured, the strength I had forged, and the life I had claimed. And in that quiet solitude, I understood. Some victories are sweetest when felt internally, carried in dignity and self-respect. I stood in the grand living room of my mansion, sunlight streaming through the tall windows, and let my eyes wander across the space. No longer a symbol of revenge, it had become a testament to perseverance, a monument to the years of struggle, sleepless nights, and relentless drive. Amir plopped down on the sofa, grinning. You've really done it, you know. This place, it's more than I imagined for you. I smiled, leaning back in my chair. Not for me, Amir, for all the nights I refused to give up, for every moment I clawed forward when it felt impossible. This, I gestured around the room, is the proof I survived. Amir laughed softly. You're still a little dramatic. I chuckled. Dramatic? Maybe. But the truth is, I earned every ounce of this life. Later, Mr. Hamid stopped by, as he often did, calm and observant. You've grown, he said simply, studying me over his glasses. I nodded. I've learned more than just business. I've learned about resilience, about patience, about myself. I finally realized that success isn't just money. It's mastery over your own heart. He smiled faintly. That's the lesson most people never grasp. And yet here you are. I let the words sink in, thinking about the past, the heartbreak, betrayal, and the pain I once carried like chains. They were still there, faint shadows, but they no longer controlled me. The sorrow lingers, I admitted softly, but it doesn't weigh me down. It reminds me that I've grown, that I'm stronger than I ever knew. Amir raised an eyebrow. And her? You're okay with everything? I paused, letting the memory pass through me like a quiet wind. I've accepted it. I don't need closure from anyone who left when life got hard. Karma, life, it handled itself. And I've moved forward, unshaken. The mansion hummed with life around us. the staff, the quiet order, the steady rhythm of a home built on determination. I walked to the balcony, gazing over the city skyline, the streets below bustling yet distant, almost serene from this height. From the apartment to this view, I murmured, from nothing to everything I dreamed. It wasn't easy, but every step mattered. I inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of triumph balance with reflection. Every hardship, every sleepless night, every scar, visible or invisible, had sculpted me into the man I am now. Amir nudged me lightly. So what's next? I smiled, a faint gleam in my eyes. Next is living fully, sharing moments with those who supported me, honoring the journey, and continuing to grow. No more looking back. The past taught me, but it no longer defines me. Mr. Hamid nodded in agreement. That's the mark of true strength. Not just wealth, but wisdom and self-respect. I let the quiet of the mansion settle around me, savoring the peace I had earned, the satisfaction of having built a life beyond what I once imagined possible. And in that calm, reflective silence, I understood that the man I had become, resilient, composed, and fulfilled, was the greatest reward of all.